My friend recently went to see Taylor Swift on her Eras tour, and when I asked her what it was like, she said that it was so good that she couldn't put it into words. The most amazing experience of my life doesn't even start to describe it, she exclaimed. Wow, I replied, that must have been something else. Yes, she said, it was beyond words, just indescribable. So she didn't have words to explain this experience. And I didn't ask her to explain it or to rationalize it, because asking her to do so might have destroyed her sense of wonder. Welcome to ToK Today. I'm Daniel, and today I'm going to give you an overview of one of the ways to approach ToK essay number 6, May 25, and that's the one about acquiring knowledge, destroying our sense of wonder. And I'm going to give you some ideas about how the key terms could be defined, the sorts of knowledge claims, and their evaluation points that could be developed. And at the end of the video, I'm going to tell you about some of the potential pitfalls in this essay title. However, before we start, I have to give you a heads-up warning that this is only one approach to answering this essay question. Many other approaches are available. However, if you do like my approach, you can get more explanation, examples and support by picking up the ToK Today student guidance notes from the shop on the ToK Today website. Those notes are like a mini textbook for this essay. They contain everything that you need to write a great ToK essay. So, without any further ado, let's jump into how we could define the key terms in this essay. Obviously, the concept of a sense of wonder is a key term in the essay, and we'll come to ways of thinking about that term in a second. First of all, let's consider the term acquiring knowledge. Now, it's worth spending some time defining and explaining this term, because it will need to be contrasted with the sense of wonder in your answer. You'll need to be able to explain when something is acquiring knowledge rather than the sense of wonder. Now, the acquisition of knowledge usually involves a range of activities that could lead to informal and formal learning. It could involve leisure experiences such as watching movies and listening to music. But the big question for me is, when does this experience become the acquisition of knowledge? Let me give you an example to illustrate. If I'm walking down a road and I inadvertently smell a flower, I have experienced the smell of a flower. Now, if I now connect the smell of that flower with its visual experience, have I now acquired knowledge? And you're going to see why this distinction is important as we come on to the definition of the term sense of wonder. The term sense of wonder was probably first brought into prominent use by the writer Rachel Carson in her 1959 book, The Sense of Wonder, a celebration of nature for parents and children. In the book, Rachel Carson describes walking through the woods with her young grandnephew and introducing him to the natural wonders of the world around him. Seeing nature through the eyes of this child reawakened a sense of wonder in Miss Carson. She writes that the world is inhabited by a life so various and unfamiliar that it seems hopeless to reduce it to order and knowledge. And in that quote, we have the nub of this essay as I see it. The sense of wonder, as described by Rachel Carson, is an aesthetic, sensorial experience. It's individualized and personalized. It's an emotional fascination rather than being labeled, ordered, and standardized, as is required for knowledge. The sense of wonder could be thought of as being an experience of the world beyond that prescribed by knowledge and knowing. Now, I also found a very good Wikipedia page on the concept of the sense of wonder and how it has been used in science fiction. It draws much on intertextuality and other themes that you may have studied in Language A and Literature. I'll leave a link to it in the video description. Regardless of how you're going to approach this question, you're going to have to explain and define the sense of wonder in a way that makes it distinct from the acquisition of knowledge. And this is where my focus on the nature of experience comes in. I think that the sense of wonder is a form of primary experience, whereas the acquisition of knowledge may only require secondary experience. However, as I always say, there are many other valid and legitimate approaches to this essay, and so that brings us to some examples of the sort of knowledge claims that could be developed for this essay. I'll give general knowledge claims that could be applied to any area of knowledge because this essay lends itself well to any area of knowledge. As ever, there are a gazillion knowledge claims that could be developed for this essay, and these are just a few examples to give you a flavour of the sorts of claims that you may wish to develop. Knowledge claim 1 is that acquiring knowledge can destroy a sense of wonder if the process of acquisition requires the knower to standardise their individual and personal experiences. Knowledge claim 2 is acquiring knowledge can stimulate a sense of wonder because it helps the knower to become more aware of the potential for wonder in the world. Knowledge claim 3 is that acquiring knowledge can destroy the sense of wonder because it makes the world subject to human control. And knowledge claim 4 is that acquiring knowledge boosts the sense of wonder because it provides the knower with a set of comparison points from which they're able to separate the ordinary from the extraordinary. So next I'll give you some examples of real-world examples for those knowledge claims, and we'll look at those examples after these wise words.
There may be a sense of wonder in this beautiful world, but you may be wondering what to write in your ToK essay. If you want to acquire knowledge of what to write in your ToK essay, then look no further than the ToK Today student guidance notes. Last year, 72% of students using the ToK Today notes reported that they achieved a grade A in ToK. The notes are a faster and less stressful way to write a great essay in ToK.
ToK Teachers, we've produced a ToK Teachers Essay Support Pack specifically for you. You can also check that out from the Support tab on the ToK Today website. So let's move on to look at real-world examples and then possible evaluation points, and then we'll finish with those potential pitfalls, and then you're out of here to go and enjoy that sense of wonder in the rest of your IB diploma. There are many real-world examples that you could use to illustrate the knowledge claims in your essay. Now, obviously, the examples that you choose to use will depend upon the knowledge claims and AOK that you're using. Here are some examples of the examples that I could use for the knowledge claims that I outlined earlier. Knowledge claim 1 is that acquiring knowledge can destroy a sense of wonder if the process of acquisition requires the knower to standardise their individual and personal experiences. And here I would choose an example in which the process of acquiring knowledge requires a highly standardised and clearly defined external routine. For example, the process of learning how to do mathematical processes. And we could find research on levels of motivation in learning mathematics. Sorry, mathematicians. Knowledge claim 2 is acquiring knowledge can stimulate a sense of wonder because it helps the knower to become more aware of the potential for wonder in the world. Now, this is a fairly straightforward knowledge claim to find examples for. Here we just need to find examples of people who have explained how learning one thing opened up a whole new world for them, and it gave them access to new wondrous experiences. My mind immediately goes to Darwin's travels on the beagle, or Mendel's experiments with pea plants, or Freud's theory of the unconscious, or Monet's first experiments with painting the impression of light on water. Your ideas and examples may, however, obviously vary. Knowledge claim 3 is that acquiring knowledge can destroy the sense of wonder because it makes the world subject to human control. Now, this knowledge claim requires an example in which standardizing knowledge has somehow led to control, possibly destruction of the thing that was standardized. Examples could be drawn from the development of taxonomic classification and the subsequent extinction of species such as the dodo. However, it's slightly difficult to conclusively argue that species extinction was due to classification. As such, I'm tempted to draw an example from the arts in which the labelling and incorporation of artistic knowledge into an established genre has changed the nature of the experience of that genre. Examples could be drawn from early experimental jazz or punk rock, or the theatre of the absurd, or maybe even the early use of social media. Now, knowledge claim 4 is that acquiring knowledge boosts the sense of wonder because it provides the knower with a set of comparison points from which they're able to separate the ordinary from the extraordinary. Now, this knowledge claim requires examples in which we've become aware of the wonder of things because we already had less wondrous examples of those things as a point of example. We could look at examples from the natural world, such as the discovery of the Mariana Trench, or deep sea creatures, or microlife that we didn't find until the development of the electron microscope. We could also draw examples from history, such as European first encounters with giant sequoias, or the Grand Canyon, or Angkor Wat. Examples from the human sciences could be the development of genre-creating theories, such as Adam Smith's Wealth of Nations, or Zimbardo's Stanford Prison Study, or Wegener's discovery of the continental drift. Now, let's move on to look at some of the examples of the sorts of evaluation points that could be developed for the knowledge claims outlined earlier. Now, obviously, the evaluation points that you use will very much depend upon the specific knowledge claims that you develop and the examples that you use to illustrate those knowledge claims. I'll run through the types of evaluation points that I could develop for the knowledge claims that I outlined earlier, and this should give you some ideas as to the type of evaluation points that you could develop for your essay. Knowledge claim 1 is that acquiring knowledge can destroy a sense of wonder if the process of acquisition requires the knower to standardize their individual and personal experiences. And this claim very much depends upon the clarity and specificity of the definitions of the key terms: sense of wonder, acquisition of knowledge, and standardized knowledge. So an evaluation point for this knowledge claim would be to interrogate those definitions. Are they too narrow? Do they stand up to the test of ecological validity? Could alternative definitions be developed? And so on and so on. Knowledge claim 2 is that acquiring knowledge can stimulate a sense of wonder because it helps the knower to become more aware of the potential for wonder in the world. And again, we have the same concerns about the definitions that we see in knowledge claim 1. However, we also start to run into one of the big underlying themes of this essay, which is whether knowledge is discovered by us or is it created by us? In other words, this is the empiricism versus rationalism debate. And this knowledge claim could be seen to imply that knowledge is discovered and that there are many unknown phenomena out there for us to still discover. Now, a rationalist would argue that it is only when we identify, label, and organize those phenomena do we know them. It's only at that point that they are available to use for the sense of wonder. And knowledge claim 3 is that acquiring knowledge can destroy the sense of wonder because it makes the world subject to human control. And this is the easiest of my 4 knowledge claims to evaluate. The limitations of this claim is the assumption that acquiring knowledge is linked to controlling the external world. It could be argued that we can reduce our influence in the external world by acquiring knowledge about it. For example, it's only by understanding anthropogenic influences on the atmosphere that we're able to reduce those human influences. Knowledge claim 4 is that acquiring knowledge boosts the sense of wonder because it provides the knower with a set of comparison points from which they're able to separate the ordinary from the extraordinary. And here we go back to the role of experience. Experience can sit in both camps, both the sense of wonder and the acquisition of knowledge. In knowledge claim 4, we're arguing that experience as a form of sense of wonder is amplified because we've acquired knowledge of similar phenomena. Now, this is rather a circular argument. It doesn't draw sufficient contrast to enable us to directly respond to the prescribed title. However, we could argue the implication of this knowledge claim is that the sense of wonder and the acquisition of knowledge are either mutually reciprocal or even mutually inclusive processes. Finally, let's move on to look at the potential pitfalls in this essay. Well, the main pitfall is not developing a precise nor sufficiently clear definition of the acquisition of knowledge. This term is just as important as the sense of wonder in the process of writing this essay. It requires a strong enough definition to enable you to describe the potential range of different relationships between the two concepts. Now, if you've made it this far in the video, well done. And if you need more support or explanation, then be sure to check out the ToK Today student guidance notes from the shop on the ToK Today website. And teachers, remember we have a ToK teacher support package to help you. Thank you so much for watching. All the best for writing your ToK essay. Stay ToKtastic, my friends.